Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So my classic album inspection today is Rainbow's Long Live Rock and Roll. So this was released on the 14th of April 1978, so it's 45 years old today. So this is the third and final album with Ronnie James Dio, coming after the all-time classic Rising. Still produced by Martin Birch. So this was kind of recorded actually and written in 1977. It took a while to come out, but Rainbow actually went on tour after its in its recording period, writing period, and then came back and finished it off, I think. And that's where the on-stage recordings come from, and that'll be why there's no Long Live Rock and Roll tracks on that, or there will be some, I'm not sure. I've never actually had that album. It's not supposed to be that good. So they went to a chateau in France, and the name escapes me, something like Chateau Le Havre or something. Probably tax reasons, I guess. And initially, Tony Carey was involved, and the bass player Mark Clark. So Mark Clark's from Uriah Heep and Colosseum. But Mark Clark was let go, and then Tony Carey, out of his let go, was left. And they actually play, I believe, no, Tony Carey plays on some tracks, but Richie Blackmore actually does the bass on some of them. And then later on, they got Bob Daisley and David Stone in. Stone did some keyboards on Gates of Babylon and added some stuff like that, and Daisley plays on 3 or 4 tracks. But that's the lineup you see on the front cover. Real shame, Jimmy Bain went, and Bob Daisley's really good as well. But I can't help feeling like, David Stone's good, but Tony Carey had a special touch for me. So what's this album sound like? So I think Rising, I said in my Rising review a couple of years ago, it's a bit trashy, I find that, although it's an amazing album. And this it's still got that slightly tinsely sound, but it's a little ballsy. The drums are a little better on this, but it's still got that classic Rainbow sound. So what's it like? So I'm just looking at the CD down here. So it opens with the title track Long Live Rock and Roll, which is 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So this is a staple. I think I heard this track as a kind of theme tune on the Friday Rock Show before I actually heard the track properly. It's a classic sort of Richie Blackmore riff. I'm not sure who's in the key of G, with the open D and G string. Does a cool little harmony sort of line in the middle. And a real live staple. Ronnie Dio played it in his band. The classic Rainbow track, classic opener. Then it goes into Lady of the Lake. I think, was this a B-side of something, or did they release this as a single? This is a really great track, 3 minutes 37. It's got a really nice kind of staccato riff, cool lyric. What I like about this track is it's kind of commercial, but it's got kind of mystical, what we call now power metal lyrics, obviously Arthurian imagery. This is great, nice vocals from Ronnie Dio, of course, and like cool kind of harmonies with those oohs. And a cool Richie solo. I think he uses slide, yeah. So this is something people forget with Richie Blackmore, is like his slide guitar playing. Those lovely, he kind of avoids the bluesy licks and he'll play his lovely kind of single note kind of lines and melodies. And I think really with Richie Blackmore, one of the things I sort of forgot about when I looked at the Rising album, which I'll probably put in a link in the bottom of this, was what a great writer Blackmore is. People kind of forget that. We sort of think about him, he's great, he hooked up with Dio, and he left Deep Purple for Rainbow, and then we forget his kind of vision. He left Rainbow with a vision of how he wanted the music to sound, and then he would change lineup accordingly. I didn't always agree with those lineup changes, that's fair enough. And then in Deep Purple, he again, he made bold decisions like parting company with Roger Glover and getting Glenn Hughes in. Even in the end, though, he didn't want to go funky and he left himself, but very sort of bold, creative vision. I've always respected his Blackmore's Night thing. People are like, why'd you do that? Because he wants to, because that's what he enjoys and that's where his passion lies, so fair play to him. Next track's LA Connection. This has got that kind of stompy feel, a bit like Run with the Wolf. Really cool riff, almost kind of sounds like it's kind of plucked with 2 fingers. 4:58. I like this as well. It's kind of an LA-based lyrics. It's contemporary imagery. I like the woos on it. A bit cheesy, for sort of Dio and Rainbow, but quite interesting that they've done that. Woo! Really good, cool riff, cool solo. Cozy's drums sound really good on this, because it's a little slow tempo. You can get a lot of air around his snare and his toms. And then side 1, original vinyl, 6 minutes 47, Gates of Babylon. It's an all-time classic. one of the sort of proto power metal songs. You know, you could argue it's a very influential song. It kind of every other Yngwie Malmsteen track maybe sounds like this. So this uses the Phrygian dominant mode and what's called the Arabic scale, which is a mode of the Hungarian minor, I believe. So it has similarities with what's called the Phrygian dominant or harmonic major scale. So it gives the true Middle Eastern sound. So it's like Indiana Jones turns up in Egypt, you know. This is the modes that John Williams uses. It's a brilliant track. I think Dio's vocal's amazing on this. If you actually go on YouTube, the promo video, this seems to have a different vocal take. Maybe they use the backing. He's done a live vocal, I don't know. But so I'm filling my hair there, sorry. But it's absolutely classic. Just inside, yes, was a gatefold sleeve, the vinyl for this, and inside was a crowd picture, and it had a banner saying "Long Live Rock and Roll Rainbow." But in actual fact, it's a photo from a Rush gig, and then they put the banner in and then blacked out the Rush T-shirt. So quite interesting. So side tones with Kill the King, another classic, another Rainbow classic, Fast and Furious again. Big power metal sort of influence, you know, pummeling double kick drums, pummeling riffage, an amazing twin sort of arpeggio, neoclassical style solo, really kind of building on what they've done on Light in the Black off Rising, but just a bit shorter, more punchy, like I say, 4 for 27. Amazing vocals by Ronnie, great imagery. Again, sort of fitting in with kind of going back to the imagery more on Richard Blackmore's Rainbow in a way. Talking about Kings, you know, the Arthurian stuff. They kind of avoided that. It was more mystical, Tarot Woman, Stargazer, you know, on the Rising album. So that's like pretty much, I mean, you've got like 1, 2, 3 absolutely staple tracks there that people would know, you know, who will have heard, who didn't know Rainbow, and then A Lady Like Ellie Connection. At this point, the album just tail off the last 3 tracks. It could do with finishing strong. It could do with like a big crescendo, but they are good tracks. Probably the weakest one is the next one, The Shed. It's 4:45. Quite a long, minute-long sort of bluesy intro on this with lots of delay on by Ritchie. And you can really hear his strat tone, that kind of nasally, you know, maybe second pickup position. People forget what a really good blues player Blackmore is as well, you know, aside from the sort of neoclassical elements. But it's got a cool sort of, you know, I suppose almost Hendrixy type of vibe to the riff. I'm still not sure what the lyrics are about, but it's kind of like Someone Out at Night. I don't know why it's called The Shed. You know, it's quite a kind of dark number. Then you got Sensitive to Light. I prefer this track. This is good. This is like the Do You Close Your Eyes, the Black Sheep of the Family type track on the album. I really like it when Dio does these kind of tracks with Blackmore. Later on, you'd have sort of tracks like Caught in the Middle. I mean, that's different, but just something kind of lighter, up tempo, just more playful. I like it. It's 2, really good. And then Rainbow Eyes, which is a really beautiful ballad, almost going for kind of medieval, kind of ethereal feel. I think Ronnie Dio wrote it about his wife, and he once said she had rainbow eyes, which I really love. He wrote about Wendy. 7.5 minutes long. I think it would benefit from being short. I think it needs to be as long. This has got quite an interesting intro. Ritchie doing some sort of open, kind of pentatonic type stuff, but with the picked, clean sound. Yeah, so this is a really great record. I prefer Rising, but some people prefer this record. I can see why it's probably, you know, you got more tracks, it's a little more direct. I think people prefer the production. You know, I give it an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. It is a classic. I think it's difficult when you look at Dio and Blackmore as well. Often they were doing a classic album, and then the other album was classic itself, really, but maybe wasn't as good. You know, you like Stormbringer's really good, but it's not as good as Burn. Obviously, this probably isn't as good as Rising. Mob Rules, maybe, you know, people prefer Mob Rules, but maybe it's not as good as Heaven and Hell and so on. But, you know, as part of a whole, it's a great body of work. So, yeah, Long Live Rock and Roll, 45 years old today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much. Bye.